Hey folks, it's Jim. Wanted to do a video today on a situation that just came up. Car slid off the road, took out a telephone pole. Person called me, said I can't get my generator started. It was cold, it was damp, bone chilling cold, and they're relying on oil heat. And obviously, we like electricity, right? If we live with electricity. And so, I go over there realizing that I couldn't really talk them through it. And in 5 minutes, it's repaired and the generator's running. Now, the point of this whole video is, what are we doing with our time? If I'm relying on a piece of equipment that somebody else has set up for me, and that piece of equipment is, I'm relying on it to get me through critical times, say SHTF, power outages, whatever, and I know nothing about it, is that a smart place to be? Or should I maybe not take some time out of my life and learn about that machine to do the basic repairs, that are required to keep that machine going, right? I have a 19-year-old lawn tractor. I have a 14-year-old Subaru generator, right? I bought it brand new. It's still going. I bought a brand new Generac 7500E electric start that I haven't even used because my Subaru just keeps plugging along. So my backup just sits there, and you know what I mean? So that's another thing about learning about how to fix the small things in your life, like a generator, right? They're generally not that complicated. The guy Musty One on YouTube is a wonderful bank of knowledge if you want to learn about tinkering and stuff like that. I'm certainly no mechanic. I just know to maintain my own machines and keep them running, all right? So that I'm not stuck in a critical moment needing somebody else to come over and help me out. I can take care of it. And generally, it's pretty easy to get a small engine running, isn't it? Okay? So, but again, this isn't advice or anything like that. You got to make the decisions you're comfortable with and gain the knowledge that you can handle and do it. Now, most people, I think, have figured that out, that it's not a good idea to buy a $5,000 auto start system that we're going to have to get a specialized guy over to fix in a critical moment, because he may have 50 other machines to fix in the same power outage, right? Or the same critical moment. Or God forbid that you've had this $5,000 auto start machine installed and that company goes out of business, or the installer moves, or God forbid pass away, right? Now what? Okay, so I'm not against that. You do whatever you're comfortable with. I'm only making this suggestion today that the things we install and rely on in our life, especially for critical situations like power outages, SHTF, all that stuff, it might be a good idea if we take some time, get to know, understand that machine, know how to perform the basic repairs, certainly know how to clean the carburetor and get that machine up and running. You know what I mean? And I see it time and time again. People spending thousands of dollars on equipment that needs a technician to come get going, because if you don't, you just violated your warranty on top of everything else. Not only you ruin out, terrible situation, but you can't even fix it because it'll void the warranty. You know what I mean? And so, have you thought about this? Have you thought about the equipment you're installing in your home? Have you thought about the decisions that you're making, and can you keep that going in a critical situation? And that's kind of what this video was about, because of the situation that someone found themselves in recently, okay? And also, repairing small engines like bikes, I get to pull this out of a scrap heap that's going to go to a landfill, turn it into a great machine that it's supposed to be, and I get one. I love this bike, by the way. This thing is a masterpiece. But anyway, and free, by the way. And I do the same thing with snow blowers, lawn mowers, generators. You know what I mean? It's just a hobby. I pull it. I enjoy it. Working on a machine is so relaxing for me. There's no chaos in the world. There's no inflation. There's no Ukraine. There's nothing when I'm working on a machine. Same with the bicycles. You know what I mean? So this little hobby, it brings me relaxation, and I feel better that I'm keeping stuff out of landfills. I've become useful to my community, and I donated a machine to a church auction uh, last year, and I'll probably do the same thing again this year. I got 6 machines that I repaired last year and just didn't have time to uh, put out on the lawn to sell or whatever. And so they just, I repaired them all. They're sitting back there, and I'll pull them out in the spring and get rid of them all. You know what I mean? And I'll find a bunch more because people pull their stuff out of their shed or their garage and they go to start it and it doesn't work, and they take it to the dump or they put it on the side of the road free for the taking. And rather than that stuff go to landfills, my hobby allows me to feel good that way too. Keep stuff out of landfills, put it back into service, make it useful to somebody else. That stuff helps to slow down the mining cycle and the horrible waste that we in America seem to enjoy. For some reason in America, we are like the most wasteful people in the world. Even people who tell me they're green, I watch, I'm not judging anybody. I'm just saying, wow, I don't know if maybe you are so green. If you're constantly going through stuff all the time and starting that mining cycle up again, because I don't know, what do you think, right? I think we don't think about how destructive we are to our own environment. You know what I mean? Let alone leaving ourselves unprepared in a critical moment. All the while, we could change all of that with just spending a little less time on Honey Boo Boo and Desperate Housewives and a couple other things, right? And I'm not judging anybody because I love Walking Dead and a new Vikings Valhalla show. I'm watching that as well. So I got a couple of shows I really enjoy too. So don't get me wrong here. I'm not, I'm just saying, have you thought of what you're doing with your time? And that there might be many more valuable places to put it, such as working on health and well-being, learning to be independent, self-reliant, and certainly really thinking through what kind of stuff you install in your life that you will be depending on in a critical moment. Can you keep it going? Because that other person you're relying on might be 30 units away from getting to you when you most desperately need it. And we just had that this year. We had a power outage, people's pipes froze. Plumbers would not show up for days, right? Happens every year here. And I don't understand it. People just don't seem to get it. That in the climate I live in, if you're relying on anything, I strongly suggest you know how to fix it. Take some time and learn. I took a sewing class but right before COVID. And I'll tell you, there's a lot more to sewing and a sewing machine. You know what I mean? I take it for granted. Oh, can't you just push the pedal and... Well, no, you got to thread the thing. The little bobbin's got to go in right. You can't reverse that. And is it tangled? Is it oiled? Is it threaded right? All that stuff. I mean, there's a lot more to a sewing machine than I ever gave credit for. But I'll tell you what, there is. Don't come to me if you need something sewed during SHTF. I'll tell you that. I'll be doing it by hand because I'll probably forget how to thread the dadgum thing. I took the class, but I can't tell you if I remember a darn thing about it. So, we're all different. We've all got weaknesses and strengths and all that stuff. But if, a sewing machine isn't going to be critical to keeping me alive, is it? So, and this year I'll make sure that I read the manual and do all that stuff. And hopefully I'll be able to remember how to do all that. And if I need to sew something, I'll sew it. But if you're relying on a generator, for gosh sakes, somebody learn how to fix it. You know what I mean? Or to keep it running. Mainly, a lot of people don't know this too. They run in their generator and pop goes the weasel. After 3 days of a power outage. Well, why? Well, it says change the oil every 50 hours. When was the last time you changed the oil? I don't know. You're relying on this thing. And we don't know. And I want to say that, but I don't. you know, I try to remain respectful always, right? We're all different. I try not to stand in judgment of anybody, but I am confounded as to people thinking they're prepared and they have a ticking time bomb in their preps that's absolutely critical to what they were relying on, to what they thought they had. And they don't even know that in the most critical of moments, it's probably going to fail, right? And if we don't know how to do basic repairs on the things we're relying on, we might have a big hole in our preps, right? Now, there's a lot of people who don't want power, need power, anything like that in preparedness, but there's a lot of people who are and want it. And if we're one of those people, it might behoove us to take a few minutes out of our life, a few hours, and learn as much as we can about that critical equipment so that we're not the person number 30 in line waiting for some specialist to come keep us going. And that's what I wanted to share today. So, small engine repair, if you're not into it, it can be very rewarding, very helpful to your community. And you get a lot of great equipment for nothing that people spent. I got one $1,500 snowblower that didn't need much, needed some tuning, tweaking, and carb cleaning and gasket, and that was it. And it's got tank tracks on it. Man, I tell you, that thing will climb anything, And I got a nice piece of equipment for not much. You know what I mean? So that's just what I'm saying today is, have you thought about the stuff you have in your life? Have you thought about forming a relationship with it so that you can keep it going in the time when you're going to need it the most? And there's 30 people in front of you for that repair. Hope you're all doing well. Jim out.